My father's funeral took place on a rainy day, the kind of rain that seeps slowly into everything you wear and everything you feel. People stood close together, whispering condolences, while my stepmother moved easily among them, composed, dry, and perfectly in control. I stayed a few steps behind, holding coats, programs, small forgotten things that kept ending up in my hands. No one questioned it. I kept waiting for her to turn around, to notice me, to acknowledge that I was still there. She never did. By the time the casket was lowered, I realized I hadn't lost my father that day. I had lost my place. If you've ever felt invisible in your own family, leave a comment and tell me where you're listening from. The funeral took place on a gray, rain-soaked morning, the kind that settled into the air and refused to lift. The cemetery looked polished and distant, with tall marble columns and fresh flowers arranged with careful precision. I stood a few steps behind the main group, close enough to hear every word, far enough to feel separate. My name is Lily. I was 20 years old that day, a college sophomore trying to hold my life together with scholarships and part-time work. When my father died suddenly, the quiet structure he had built around me disappeared. I wore an old wool coat that once belonged to my mother. The fabric was thin, the seams worn, and the sleeves slightly too short. It carried a familiar scent that made my chest tighten. The cold crept in slowly, settling around my wrists and collar. I hadn't eaten since the night before, and hunger sat heavy and dull in my stomach. Around me, people spoke softly, sharing updates about work, travel plans, and investments. Their umbrellas brushed together as they formed small clusters, leaving me standing on the edge. Brenda arrived after most of the guests had already gathered. A black limousine pulled up near the entrance, and she stepped out with practiced confidence. Her heels clicked sharply against the wet stone, drawing attention with every step. She wore a deep-cut Versace dress that stood out against the muted colors around her. A flash of red from her designer shoes caught the light as she adjusted her hair and checked her phone. When she began to cry, it was sudden and loud enough to turn heads. Between sobs, she typed quickly, glancing down to see whether her makeup artist had arrived. Brenda was my stepmother. She married my father years after my mother passed away. From the beginning, she treated me as an inconvenience that followed the marriage, something attached rather than chosen. That morning, she moved easily through the crowd, accepting condolences with smooth, rehearsed responses. "I still can't believe he's gone," she said. "Thank you so much for being here. Tain arbizadi." He meant everything to me. I was really frightened. Kays and Tinras. People nodded sympathetically. No one questioned her. No one looked beyond her to see who stood behind. I stayed quiet, watching rainwater drip from the edge of my coat onto the stone floor. At some point, a man in a dark suit approached me. His eyes passed over my face without focus. "Take this," he said, placing a wet umbrella into my hands. "Make sure the floor doesn't get slippery." "Dude informatic says." I accepted it without thinking. My fingers closed around the handle as if this were expected of me. I turned my head slightly and looked toward Brenda, waiting for her to say something, to correct him, to acknowledge that I was her husband's daughter. Our eyes met briefly. She smiled. "Just give it to her," Brenda said, her voice carrying through the quiet space. "She's used to that kind of work." Wasn't I? She never had her father's brains anyway. 2-5 Tess. A few people laughed softly, unsure how to respond. Others looked away. My face burned, and my throat tightened, yet my body stayed still. I held the umbrella, listening as the words settled over me and stayed. The service continued. Prayers were read. The casket was carried forward. When my father was lowered into the ground, I felt my chest tighten in a way that made breathing difficult. I wanted to step forward, to stand closer, to be seen as his daughter. The moment passed without opening. When the ceremony ended, guests left quickly, eager to escape the cold rain. Brenda lingered long enough to speak with a few people and pose for a final photograph. Her posture remained perfect, her expression carefully arranged. She did not look for me. I waited. She walked past me without a word. I did not ride home with her. No instructions were given. No comfort followed. As the cemetery emptied and the rain softened into a thin mist, my phone vibrated in my pocket. A message from Brenda. The door code has been changed. End quote. Your things are in bags behind the house. 80. Don't come back. Bredias. I stood alone between the rows of headstones, the umbrella still in my hand. The cold pressed in from all sides. In that quiet space, I understood that the funeral had taken more than my father. It had taken my place. I spent the first night after the funeral at the university library, curled into a chair on the 4th floor, where the lights never fully dimmed. The building stayed open 24 hours, and no one asked questions as long as you looked like you belonged there. I washed my face in the bathroom sink, dried my coat under the hand dryer, and told myself this was temporary. The next morning, my email inbox loaded slowly on the public computer, each second stretching longer than the last. Then the message appeared. Final enrollment warning. I was not a go-high. Outstanding balance, $24,800. ESSA. Failure to pay will result in immediate withdrawal. Go to. My chest tightened. I clicked into the student portal again, hoping the number would change. It didn't. I logged into my bank account next. The balance sat at 0. I checked my trust account, the one my father had set up for emergencies and tuition. 0 again. I scrolled through the transaction history, my fingers numb as the truth stacked itself line by line. Large withdrawals, crypto investments, a car deposit, all under Brenda's name. I stared at the screen until the letters blurred. My father had always handled the finances. Brenda never touched them while he was alive. Now everything was gone, and the deadline sat 3 days away. My phone vibrated in my hand. Brenda's name lit up the screen. I hesitated before answering. Hello? 2024. Her voice came through bright and syrupy, stretched tight underneath. Lily, sweetheart, where have you been? As what? You didn't answer my texts. In Inesta's endeavor. I need you to come home. 1. I don't live there anymore, I said. She laughed lightly. Don't be dramatic. As of court. Your father's computer isn't working. I have dismawning. I can't get into his accounts. Just a data. So this need. I can't help with that, I replied. Her tone shifted. Listen carefully, she said. That laptop belongs to the family. 10:19 to do. If you don't bring it back, I'll call the police. Oh, I did. I'll tell them you stole it. Is a important point at age. I closed my eyes and leaned my forehead against the desk. Students passed behind me, their voices low, unaware. I didn't steal anything, I said. That's not how it will look, Brenda replied. You have until tonight. Taxiting. Be here by 8. Oh, the call ended. I stared at the dark screen of the computer, then at the email warning still glowing red. For the first time since the funeral, something inside me slowed down. Brenda wasn't calling because she missed me. She was calling because she needed me. She didn't know how to read the statements. She didn't know the passwords. She didn't know the language my father had lived in for years. She thought she was threatening me. I packed my bag quietly. The phone my father used lay at the bottom, wrapped in a shirt. I had kept it without thinking, a habit formed from grief. As the bus pulled away from campus that evening, the city lights blurred past the window. I didn't feel brave. I felt focused. When I arrived, the house looked unchanged from the outside. The door opened before I could knock. About time, Brenda said. She glanced at my bag. You brought the laptop? Oper. Yes, I said. She turned and walked away. Make some tea, she called over her shoulder. Earl Grey. Gwyd. It is not Taida. And hurry. 1. The living room smelled faintly of perfume and alcohol, the kind that lingered even after windows were opened. Brenda lay stretched across the leather sofa, a gold facial mask pressed thick against her skin. Her eyes closed, one hand draped over the armrest. The television murmured in the background, some lifestyle show she wasn't really watching. I moved quietly through the room, setting my bag down where she couldn't see it. My shoulders stayed tight, my steps careful, every movement measured. "Did you bring it?" she asked without opening her eyes. "Yes," I said. "Put it on the table," Brenda replied. "Don't touch anything else." I placed my father's laptop exactly where she pointed and went to the kitchen. The kettle clicked on, water heating too slowly for my nerves. I lined up the teacups, the sugar bowl, the small porcelain spoon she preferred, Earl Grey, just the way she liked it. When I returned, she was scrolling through her phone, mask still on, tapping her screen impatiently. "You're taking too long," she said. "I don't have all night." "Don't." "I'm almost done," I replied. She waved a hand. "Sit," Brenda said. "Open the laptop. X brand. I want you to clear everything. Was not stated's not Saration. These emails keep popping up. Oh, I don't want to see them anymore. Thanks for watching." I sat at the table and lifted the screen. The login page appeared. My heart thudded hard enough that I could feel it in my ears. "What's the password?" she asked. "It's already saved," I said. She grunted, satisfied. "Pay off the credit cards first," Brenda continued. "All of them. I have did. My score needs to stay clean." Side. "I'm buying a new car." End quote. I nodded, my fingers hovering over the keyboard. "There are a lot of alerts here," I said carefully. "Some of them are marked education-related. Tenedids Kala, Jastite, Tenedids Gala. They look important. Inizis." Brenda rolled her eyes beneath the mask. "That's your father's mess," she replied. "Those stupid school things. It's—" I told him to deal with them. "I'm 725 tooted. Just pay everything." End quote. I want it gone. Exhaust. I reached into my pocket and switched on the voice recorder on my phone, the fabric muffling the sound. My voice stayed steady. "Just to be clear," I said, "you want me to pay all the education-related charges too?" "Artisan." "Yes," Brenda snapped. "Everything." Quote, "Pay it all." "It is Asian." "Then get out of my way." 17. The laptop prompted for two-factor authentication. A message flashed on the screen, asking for a code sent to my father's phone. I felt a brief wave of relief. That phone sat heavy in my bag, close enough to touch. I pulled it out slowly, shielding the screen with my body, and typed in the code. Brenda didn't notice. She had closed her eyes again. "Hurry up," she said. "My head is killing me." Tooted. I was now. I navigated through the accounts carefully, my hands steady despite the tension running through my arms. I opened a small payment window first, one I had prepared earlier. $500 toward her American Express. The screen showed a clean confirmation. "Done," I said quietly. Brenda opened one eye and glanced at the screen. "Good," she muttered. "That's what I like to see." "Aw, at least you're useful." "Does it?" She sat up slightly and adjusted the mask. "After this," she continued, "I don't want any more problems. Tracta. I've got an appointment coming up." "Oh, Miami. They don't like delays. AT says." "I understand," I said. As she turned away, reaching for her phone, I moved quickly. I switched tabs. The retirement account loaded, the balance filling the screen in stark numbers. My breathing slowed as I selected the hardship withdrawal option, my fingers following steps I had already memorized. Tuition, housing, university bursar as payee. The amount sat ready, waiting. Brenda shifted on the couch. "What are you still doing?" she asked. "Just finishing," I replied. She glanced over her shoulder again, catching only the edge of the screen. "Make sure the card payment went through," she said. "I don't want surprises." "To say." "It did," I answered. Satisfied, she leaned back, closing her eyes. "Print whatever you need," Brenda added. "I'm signing papers later anyway." "It's all so... just put it with the rest." "I Dan." My finger hovered for half a second. Then I clicked submit. The confirmation page appeared. I printed the receipt, the text small and dense, folded it neatly, and slid it between a stack of unrelated documents on the side table. Brenda waved toward the pile without looking. "Throw those out when you're done," she said. I closed the laptop and stood up. "I'll take the trash," I said. She nodded. "Leave the keys," Brenda replied, and shut the door quietly. Ah. I walked out of the house with my heart racing, the night air cool against my face. I didn't look back. The house grew quiet after Brenda settled back into the sofa, the television murmuring low, the gold mask catching the light every time she shifted. I faced the laptop, my shoulders squared, my breath slow and controlled, the way my father used to breathe when he focused on paperwork late at night. The screen glowed steadily, rows of accounts and menus waiting. Carefully, not rushing, letting each click look ordinary. The small credit card payment sat there, completed and clean, exactly where she expected it to be. Beyond that window, another account waited, one she had never bothered to learn. I opened the retirement portfolio. The balance filled the screen in a way that felt unreal, numbers too large to belong to anyone who complained about minor inconveniences. I navigated to the withdrawal section, my fingers steady despite the tension pressing into my wrists. The option appeared clearly: hardship withdrawal, education and related fees. I selected it and continued, my eyes scanning each line the way my father had taught me to do. My name still appeared where it mattered: beneficiary, active, valid. Behind me, Brenda shifted. "Why is this taking so long?" she asked. "Just making sure it goes through," I replied. She sighed dramatically. "I told you," she said. "I don't want problems." To reading forwarded hars. Pay the cards and be done. Till did it is. "I am," I said. The form advanced. Tuition, housing, mandatory university fees. I typed in the amount I had calculated over countless sleepless nights. Enough to cover 4 years, enough to keep me safe from deadlines and warnings. The payee field opened. I entered the university bursar's office, letter by letter, checking the spelling twice. The money would never touch my hands. It would go straight where it belonged. Brenda stood up suddenly and walked a few steps closer. I felt her presence before I saw her reflection on the screen. "What are you clicking on now?" she asked. I didn't turn around. I pressed a key combination and the screen shifted instantly back to the credit card confirmation page, the one I had prepared in advance. "This," I said, angling the laptop slightly so she could see. "American Express. I have this associated. It's cleared." "Arzalid." She leaned over my shoulder, squinting. "Good," Brenda said. "That's what I needed. Don't mess this up. 18. She walked away again, satisfied, already distracted by her phone. My pulse thudded once, hard, then settled. I switched back, my hands moving faster now, the path already memorized. The final review page appeared, filled with dense text and checkboxes. I scrolled to the bottom and paused, my finger hovering above the trackpad. From the sofa, Brenda spoke again. "And Lily," she added, After this, I don't want to hear about school anymore. Just handle it. Fine. I pressed record on my phone without looking down. Just confirming, I said. You want all education-related costs paid in full? Trid faded. Yes, Brenda replied, irritation sharp in her voice. All of it. We have perfected my neza. I'm done talking about it. It's not a forgery. I clicked submit. The page refreshed. A confirmation number appeared, small and unremarkable, the kind people overlooked easily. My chest tightened, then released in a long, quiet breath. I opened the print menu and sent the page to the nearby printer. The machine hummed softly, spitting out the paper. I folded it once, then again, and slid it neatly between a stack of documents Brenda had left by the table, contracts and receipts she never read before signing. Throw those papers away later, Brenda said without looking up. I will, I replied. I shut down the laptop and closed it carefully, wiping the surface with my sleeve out of habit. I gathered the loose trash from the table, holding it against my chest to steady my hands, and walked toward the door. The air outside felt cooler, heavier, pressing against my skin as if reminding me I was still real. Keys, Brenda called out. I set them on the counter. And shut the door quietly, she added. I stepped outside and pulled the door closed behind me, the click final and soft. Only when I reached the end of the driveway did my legs begin to shake. I didn't stop walking. I didn't look back. The execution was over. The next 3 days passed without shape or order. I slept in short stretches at the library, my bag tucked under the table, my phone face up beside me. Every few hours, I refreshed the student portal, watching the same red warning sit there, unchanged. My body stayed tense even when I closed my eyes. Every vibration of my phone sent a jolt through my chest. Nothing happened. Brenda didn't call. No messages, no accusations. Her social media told a different story. Photos of lunches, shopping bags, captions about self-care, and finally breathing again. Watch them scroll past, each image polished and careless. She looked lighter, untouched. On the 4th morning, I opened my email again, more out of habit than hope. The page loaded slowly, then a new message appeared at the top of the screen. Payment received. What said? Status. Full term. Is to probation hour. I stared at it for a long moment, reading each line again and again until the words stopped shaking. My shoulders dropped without permission. My hands covered my face. The sound that escaped me wasn't laughter. It wasn't a sob either. It was something quieter, the release of pressure I had been holding since the funeral. I forwarded the email to myself. I took a screenshot, then another. Only then did I let myself breathe. Classes resumed. I went back to lectures, sat in my usual seat, took notes like nothing had happened. The world around me moved normally. People complained about exams. Someone spilled coffee. A professor ran late. No one knew my life had nearly collapsed between deadlines and passwords. Brenda stayed silent. A week passed. Then 2. When she finally appeared again, it was online. A video popped up on my screen late one night. Brenda stood in front of a mirror, wrapped in a white robe, smiling at her reflection. Miami, she announced to the camera. Big changes. And serve it. Finally doing something for myself. Dow. Comments flooded in. Hearts. Compliments. Envy. I watched without reacting. She flew out a few days later. I knew because she posted the airport lounge, the champagne glass, the caption about deserving this. The timing settled into place quietly. The withdrawal processing window, the tax cycle, the penalty clock that didn't care about her plans. The morning of her surgery, I woke before my alarm. My phone lay still beside me. No missed calls, no alerts, I went to class. I finished a quiz. I drank bad coffee from a vending machine. Somewhere between lectures, my phone buzzed. Unknown number. I didn't answer. Another vibration followed, then another. I slipped the phone into my pocket and kept walking. The campus trees swayed gently in the wind, leaves brushing against each other, indifferent to everything else. I found a bench and sat down, the sun warming my hands. For the first time in weeks, my mind felt quiet. Whatever was coming wasn't in my control anymore. The money had gone where it was supposed to go. The records existed. The confirmations were stored safely. Nothing moved quickly now. Systems never did. I stood up when my next class started and left the bench behind. Somewhere in Miami, a card would be declined. A smile would falter. A question would finally be asked. I didn't need to be there to hear it. The clinic in Miami looked more like a luxury hotel than a medical facility. All glass walls, soft lighting, and quiet music designed to calm nerves. Brenda walked through the entrance, wearing oversized sunglasses and a confident smile. Her phone held high as she filmed herself for her followers. Nurses greeted her politely. Other patients glanced over, curious. She enjoyed the attention, pausing just long enough to adjust her robe and frame the shot. "Big day," she said to the camera. "Wish me luck." In one phrase. At the reception desk, a young woman slid a tablet across the counter. "Just a few final confirmations," she said. "Then we'll take care of the payment." "It's a letter supposed." Brenda signed without reading, the way she always did, and handed over her debit card with a practiced flick of the wrist. "Run it," she said. "I'm on a schedule." "I don't see you." The machine beeped once, then again. The screen flashed red. Declined. Quote, "780 to the terminal Soros." Brenda frowned and laughed lightly. "That's not right." "There wasn't." "Try it again." "Sechinit, 18 day." The receptionist apologized and swiped the card a second time. The result didn't change. A quiet tension spread across the desk, subtle but unmistakable. Brenda's smile thinned. "Is your system down?" "It's gases in places. I've never had this problem." "It's..." The receptionist shook her head. "The system is working. Brax's way. There may be an issue with the account." 18 added. "Impossible," Brenda snapped. "There's plenty in there. Every toad." A manager stepped closer, lowering her voice. "Would you like to contact your bank?" "Doesn't. We can give you a few minutes." "Bidet." Brenda waved her off and dialed the number on the back of her card, pacing as the call connected. Her voice dropped, sharp and irritated. "Yes." Ezer wanted to. "My card is being declined." "No, I'm standing right here." "That account is active." "I have not a teen." She listened, her expression changing with each second. The color drained from her face, leaving the makeup looking heavier than before. "What do you mean frozen?" "Just." "For what reason?" "Everyone it." The voice on the other end continued, calm and clinical. "An IRS hold?" "Eftery." "Hardship withdrawal?" "I did, Rita. I didn't authorize anything like that." "Ex places." She stopped pacing. "Say that again." "Guy." Her grip on the phone tightened. "Tax liability." "It's splayed." "Penalty?" "Aye." "How much?" "Is alive to the Zations." People nearby pretended not to listen. A nurse checked her watch. The room felt suddenly smaller. Brenda lowered the phone slowly, her hand trembling. She stared at the blank wall across from her as if it might explain something. "That's not possible," she muttered. Memories surfaced without warning. The living room, the tea, the laptop screen turned just enough to be seen. A quiet question asked twice, a voice answering without hesitation. "Pay it all." "Pride it. Of it." The phone slipped from her hand and hit the floor with a sharp crack, the screen splintering outward. The live stream cut off abruptly. "Ma'am," the receptionist said carefully, "we can reschedule once the payment issue is resolved." "Was not racketed." Brenda didn't respond. She turned and walked out, robe still tied, sunglasses crooked, heels clicking too fast against the polished floor. Outside, the bright Miami sun felt harsh and unforgiving. A car door slammed. An engine roared to life. That evening, messages flooded in. Missed calls, voicemails left, half finished. Names from the past appeared on the screen, ignored and unanswered. One number stood out among the rest. Lily. The call went unanswered. By midnight, Brenda was on a flight back home. Rage replacing shock, the truth settling into something sharp and unbearable. She replayed the scene again and again, searching for a mistake that wasn't there. The problem wasn't the bank. It wasn't the clinic. It had been sitting across the table the entire time. Brenda's return was fast and unplanned, driven more by panic than strategy. Within days of the Miami incident, she appeared at a downtown law office, convinced that anger alone could still force the situation back under control. The moment she stepped inside, voices carried through the waiting area, sharp enough to turn heads, confident enough to expect obedience. "She took my money," Brenda insisted. "That account was never hers." "Bradian, I want this handled now." "2 days." The receptionist listened without reacting and gestured toward the conference room. "She's been waiting." The door opened to a prepared scene. Documents were already arranged. A lawyer sat calmly at the table. Lily remained still, posture steady, eyes forward. Brenda stopped short, surprise flashing across her face before being replaced by fury. "You planned this," she snapped. "You set me up." "That really won." The lawyer stood and spoke evenly. "This meeting is documented. 18. Please take a seat." 1. Reluctantly, Brenda sat down. "She stole from my retirement," she repeated. "That money was protected." She didn't fess. A folder slid across the table. "Here is the withdrawal record." "Dan is tamed. Here is the beneficiary designation. I'm set her by. And here is the authorization trail." Traded vial. Brenda skimmed the pages, impatience returning. "I never approved any of this." 80. The lawyer pressed a button. The room filled with familiar audio, calm and unmistakable. "You want all education-related expenses paid in full?" Ever potted. "Yes. All of it. Just take care of it." "All." The recording ended. Brenda's breathing changed. Her gaze shifted from the phone to Lily, then back to the papers. As recognition settled in slowly, "You knew exactly what you were doing," she said. "I followed instructions," Lily replied, voice level. The lawyer continued without pause. "The funds were transferred directly to the university. Doesn't pride. No personal diversion. Do a desnes gordade avi. No concealment. Cited. To distitute. Try did. A negated. No falsified credentials." 20 in 25/7. Another document joined the stack. These were signed the same day. 17 aside. So have a 17 aside. The receipt was included. "I think the signature is yours." Tenaji Woe. A police officer who had been standing quietly near the door stepped forward. "This does not meet the standard for criminal theft." HR. "This is a civil dispute." 10. "You authorized the transaction." Everyone to I. Everyone. Brenda stood, chair scraping loudly against the floor, but no one moved to stop her. The leverage she had relied on for years was gone, replaced by records that could not be argued away. "Isn't finished," she said, though the words lacked their former force. What followed unfolded without confrontation. The university declined any reversal. Tax notices arrived with penalties clearly outlined. Accounts were frozen in sequence, not dramatically, but efficiently. High-value items were listed and sold. The house was the last asset to fall, its foreclosure notice appearing one quiet morning without ceremony. Across the street, a cafe opened early. Lily sat near the window with a cup of Earl Grey, textbooks open, notes marked with care. The phone remained untouched beside the cup. Outside, the house stood unchanged in structure but emptied of power.